I view you as one of the better question askers.
Do you really?
That I know. Yeah.
Can I ask why you say that? There's a question.
Yeah.
See?
Dang it, dude.
Got him.
Well, welcome back to Open to Truth, a podcast all about exploring big ideas and discovering truth together. My name's Clint.
Hey, I'm Tony. Welcome back.
I want to have a conversation about how to have conversations.
Wow. Okay.
And maybe why have them.
Yeah. Hopefully this one's not too stilted and awkward then.
Right.
Hopefully we model it quite well.
Right.
No dead air. Good banter. All of that.
I've noticed that, and I'm no expert by any means, but people often have a really tough time carrying a conversation.
Yeah.
How to have good rapport with someone, and just as we start to have more of these things online, more anonymity is at play, and comment sections. What are we all doing? Like what really is a conversation? What are the goals of it?
Mm-hmm.
Or what ought they be, and what are ways that we kind of flub it and ruin it?
Are you saying this because do you say you frequently run into people who aren't great at having conversations?
Yeah.
Do you mean just like in the lobby at church, like they're just kind of socially awkward? Or do you mean like at a sit-down lunch, you feel like you're doing all the work, trying to get them to talk?
It has the whole gamut, of the social awkwardness, which, I mean, I have my own of that, and everyone has their little quirks and stuff, but maybe more so like the online space, or maybe face-to-face, more deeper conversations about important topics. Just what should we be trying to do versus what do we often end up doing?
Yeah.
And what are ways that we can gravitate more toward what we should be doing?
Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't know if that's all too vague, but
Well, it seems like you have an idea of where you want to dive in, so take us there.
I guess, maybe this is just super obvious, but and there's different kinds of conversations, let's say.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Let's chart that. So what could you be trying to do? I think, like our previous podcast on forgiveness, we came to the table with some ideas, some like just kind of luggage I had over the years of what people and different authoritative sources have said about forgiveness. And just like, okay, so I'm coming to the table with these. I'm going to try to not hold any of them sacred.
Yep.
And I just want to discover afresh, just try to take off the old goggles, put on some new ones, and try to discover some truth. I want to be aimed at the truth. It's
like an exploratory endeavor that's happening through conversation. I don't know if not all conversation is that way, right? Some of them is small talk. This is what I just want to be clear on. Like, are we trying to teach charisma on command here in this, like how to be engaging and winsome and tell jokes?
It's not a teaching podcast.
It's not a teaching podcast. Or at least certainly when it comes to those deeper exploratory conversations where maybe different points of view are being offered, and there's maybe an unstated goal or stated goal that we would together get closer to truth or find truth through the exchange of different ideas. Those conversations, there's a knack to them.
Well, like at one level, a conversation is, of course, like there's just so many different kinds. It's just people talking together, So it could be, you could just be trying to one-up one another and tell who's going to tell the better joke. You could be confronting someone. We're going to have a conversation about, here's what you did wrong.
Confrontation,
Yeah. I mean, it runs the whole gamut. I guess what I have in mind to focus in on, because there's probably tips and tricks for all those.
It's like how to have small talk at parties.
Right.
That's not so much what we're doing.
I'm not as interested in that.
The pro tip there is just ask lots of questions and hold a beer. That's it.
Well, and now, I mean, that may be good advice for this other one, but it's the conversations that are supposed to be, there's this the context of it is that we're supposed to be going after the truth
Yeah. Okay. All right.
on a topic that matters.
A discussion.
Yes.
Is that different? Maybe.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. Like you don't go to parties to have discussions with people necessarily. You go there to maybe socialize or whatever. When I think about discussion, there's an issue that's on the
I try
table.
to get into discussions.
Yeah, you
if
do.
I can.
No, you're a fiend for discussions. You love to discuss. No, with discussions, there's a topic on the table, and we are both arriving to look at this topic from our different points of views, exchange and offer ideas, and hopefully, by me being able to see the way you see, and by you being able to briefly see the way I see, we get a clearer picture about the issue that we're tackling together. Why are you frowning while you nod?
Because I'm just trying to. I view what we did in the previous episode as that was a conversation, but it wasn't necessarily like I need to like grapple with Tony's viewpoint, or you need to grapple with mine, because it wasn't super well defined. I didn't come to the table with this whole
A position.
package.
Yeah, fair
Please
enough.
understand this, and I'd like to persuade you of it.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I can be. Here's really what I want to get to. Here's the heart of the matter. I think that our conversations about things that matter most should almost never have this texture.
Of the
Here's this package that I need you to think, and I'm going to persuade you of it, and we're gonna spend a lot of time make sure that you get my little perspective.
Yep.
And then I'm going to try to really understand your perspective, and then I don't know, debate. Whereas I guess what I think a path forward, I think you can resonate with this audience, the vitriol that's often in all these online spaces and maybe has spilled over into some of your real life conversations about these important topics. Just the atmosphere of genuine curiosity and openness and humility, all the intellectual virtues are all but gone in most of these venues.
Yeah.
And I guess I just I view that as the antidote
The intellectual virtues are the antidote
to having
this kind of vitriol.
having good conversations that actually matter and are valuable.
So what is okay, I hear what you're saying. What does that mean though if it's a topic where you do have a formed opinion already that you bring to the table? You're not just talking about topics that you have no opinion on.
I do that all the time. I have considered opinions.
And so
But then what do you do with it?
Yeah,
what's your motive, and what are you trying to do with the conversation? Here's this thing we're doing. We're communicating with words with another person. Is your goal, I need to make sure that this other person walks away with the package that I came with.
have? Yeah.
I think that's often the case with people. And I don't hopefully I don't come across like an arrogant prick for claiming to not be doing that. But I have found in myself an evolution. I used to be that way more.
Yeah.
And now I am less that way. I feel relatively secure in my beliefs. I'm willing to overturn them hopefully on the face of new evidence. But having a conversation to me now is not, you need to walk away from this holding that
It's not an
package
exercise
of
in
views,
persuasion.
or else I failed,
Yeah.
or something's wrong with you. You're dumb because you didn't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, or you weren't clear enough or something. So, okay.
Or impute bad motives to the other person. Like they don't actually care about the truth because they didn't pick up what I was putting down right away.
Yeah. Yep. So what how much of that is a conscious effort on your part in those conversations? You say you've been better about not needing to persuade people. Is that something that you are consciously restraining in yourself, an instinct that you're restraining, or have you just found now you have less of a desire, less of an urge to persuade? Because I know you, like, you would love to be right and to be recognized as being right. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with the public affirmation. But that's just my own
Okay.
baggage. I don't actually typically like when people say it publicly like that.
Right. Okay.
But
Sorry.
I just feel embarrassed.
Sorry. Will you forgive me? Got it.
Yeah.
But like, just wondering, yeah, how when you're okay, you must do this all the time. You get lunch with somebody who thinks differently about you than on some issue.
Mm-hmm.
You get together, and what tools do you have in your conversational tool belt that you're bringing to the table there to facilitate the kind of conversation that you're talking about as being really fruitful, and to steer things away from the you versus me, let's persuade each other? Is it the kind of thing you need two willing partners to do it well, or if
Yeah, I mean,
like if the other person's bent on persuading you, and you're just there to get at truth, wherever it might lay, it seems like you're still going to have a hard time. Someone's going to steamroll and demand that their opinions are.
Yeah, I've
accepted.
definitely been in that situation where I felt like the other person had other obstacles, guardrails that they've artificially put up, and they might be right, and so it's for a really good reason that the guardrails are up. But there's ground that we ought not walk in the conversation. And so maybe not acknowledging that it's possible the truth lies beyond their guardrail.
Got it. Yes.
And I'm wanting to trespass on their guardrails, and they're not having it.
Because there are no guardrails with this other approach. Is that it? Of like, it's an open field, and we're on the hunt for truth. So
I am saying that kind of. Yeah. For someone that I think the closer we're all getting to the intellectual virtues, the fewer guardrails there would be.
Yeah.
That's not to say there's not, I'm not talking about like etiquette or prudence in the sense, like guardrails and how you speak to someone.
No, you
should
mean
still be polite.
Ideas that ought not be entertained. Right. And you're like, okay, let's entertain every idea and on its own merit.
And we might very quickly or even tacitly brush past some that just seem obviously like it's morally good to rape. We don't need to like really pontificate about that.
Yep.
It's not. We're both in agreement.
Yeah.
Let's move on. You know what I mean?
So what do you do if you sit down for a conversation with somebody and you get the sense that they have all these guardrails up, that their goal is to get you to say the right words before they leave the meeting or whatever? Is there any kind of disarming that you can do? And how would you do it?
Well, one I've tried to use is just to vocalize your commitment to the intellectual virtues.
Oh, yeah. How do you do that? Just so you know, I'm committed to honesty and humility and curiosity.
Saying things like, I don't have all the answers, or I'm not certain about this. I could easily be wrong, and I consider myself open to hearing new evidence and ideas. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just different ways of framing, what a person that has those virtues would embody.
Yeah.
And just to vocalize it. Or saying I don't have an agenda. I'm interested in exploring the space. I'm really curious about it. I haven't made up my mind. It's still something I'm wrestling with.
Yeah.
Because like I can have a belief and even claim to know the truth of it.
I know you do.
And still honestly say like it's something I wrestle with.
Yeah.
Because it's a like you use an analogy this morning of the turning of the gem. Like there's I have seen this side of the gem and I'm pretty confident here, but there's other ways of turning it where I'm very likely to discover new fractals, and I want to do that. So let's say that maybe for me, like an example, Jesus is the Son of God or the Messiah.
Yeah.
It's something that I believe, I claim to know, that I'm living my life based on, but I don't have full grasp of that, and I want to really open to turning the gem on that, or looking at ways that that needs to be more nuanced and thought of differently.
Yeah. I have found the times when, for example, maybe I sit down, like I'm having a conversation with somebody who they've sniffed out enough of my views to know they don't like it. And so they're throwing up roadblocks. I have found that instead of insisting that I put forth my view and hear what I have to say, I just start asking all kinds of questions.
Yep.
Just get really curious about why do you think that? And how does that work? And tell me about how this fits with that idea. And not with a spirit of like antagonism at all, but genuine like, okay, just let's run with it. Let's run with it. Let's run with your thoughts and tease them out to their logical conclusion. I want to know, how is it you see the world? Really lay this out for me. And then I'm just going to be honest about, like, if I see, let's just say we're talking in the realm of theology, and I can see some little, if you think this and you think this, there's an issue here, though.
That's what we can call that, if you will, the Socratic Method.
Great.
So once I detect that someone's not super interested in, it sounds too harsh to say they're not interested in the truth. I kind of like how we found that way of phrasing it with the guardrails.
Yeah.
And, the truth may lie over there, but we're not willing to go there.
They think they've already got it.
The Socratic method is less, it's not trying to go over there quite yet to find the truth. It's like within your own guardrails.
Yeah.
Have you kind of mixed up paths and crossed wires in a way that like it's not internally consistent.
Yeah. Is it coherent? Yeah. Yeah.
And so asking like all those questions, maybe even about their life story or just maybe the more just general philosophical spirit of trying to question assumptions.
Yeah.
Like, hey, why is that guardrail there?
Yeah,
I know that it's there.
How'd that get there?
Because you're not letting me go there.
Yeah.
How did that get erected?
Yeah.
Who said what and when to cause that to be built in your mind?
Yeah.
And like, may I give you permission or just be released in my presence to don't destroy it.
Just
gently move
set
it aside
for a moment
and see it peek in there. And we can always come back and put it back there. But I warn you, what you might find when you go over there is that runway is just as good as the stuff we've been looking at over here.
Yeah.
And being willing to have that kind of surgery done on myself as well.
Yeah.
I just, to me, that is how to have better conversations with people when you're trying to suss out truth on these big topics.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I am someone who's pretty introverted, so like having conversations in general is something I've had to work at a bunch. Not that I've always been antisocial, but my comfort zone is like alone in this basement, like you know. But having a pretty outgoing job at a church, making people feel welcome, that's like part of the job. So I've had to learn how to have good conversations. And for me, like I was joking about it earlier, but really asking questions has been the big thing that has helped me to have, whether it is small talk at parties or it is a deeper conversation about the things that matter most in life.
I view you as one of the better question askers.
Do you really?
That I know. Yeah.
Can I ask why you say that?
There's
a question.
Yeah.
See?
Dang it, dude.
Got him.
I think.
But I mean, really, that's how I work. Is like, why do you say that? Now, tell me some more.
Because you've got me flustered because it just evolved into this
meta.
What you just did, I want to know, is that a tool like that you've developed this toolkit of like kind of some stock good follow-up questions like, how does that make you feel? Or tell me more about that.
Yep.
But I've seen in you too, like you're good at intuiting like what is a good insightful question to be asking. And it's hard to describe, but
yeah. Okay. I got you. Well, what it allows me to do is, as an introvert, all I really have to do is follow my pay attention and follow my curiosity.
Yes.
That's it. Whether it's at a party and I'm asking somebody, what do you do? Oh, I'm a baker. Really? How'd you decide to be a baker? And just, well, I've always been cooking. And okay, what does a day look like for you? Just get really curious. What's it like to be a baker? And before you know it, you've had a 30-minute conversation. They think you're great, and you haven't had to say much at all because all you're doing is getting curious and asking questions.
I remember just an example. We were talking to this guy, Jeff, about he checks out to make sure bridges are safe.
Yeah. Yep.
And
I'd never learned about bridges.
It was a delight. And I don't know the first thing about him, but I was asking a bunch of questions
You were.
and I was genuinely curious. Like, what it actually is a bridge? Right? Just being annoying kind of.
Yeah.
But,
no, but that's it. So like that allowing curiosity to be my guide is.
But what would you say
really
to someone's
helpful.
like, I don't care though. I don't care about that. What they're talking about. And I'm not curious.
I definitely, because I felt that too. There's times when someone's talking to me and I'm thinking, my goodness, man, I do not care about this. Yeah, what's my advice for those situations? You can still always come up with a question.
Yeah.
You can. Because, okay, and maybe at the very least, you can get curious about just this spectacle that this person is so into the model trains. They just love it. And I'm not interested. But it's interesting that they're interested. Like, people are endlessly fascinating. So you can at least get curious about that.
There is a kind of like laying down of your own. Maybe it's the It's not quite intellectual humility, but just maybe it's a form of agape. Like, I'm willing to self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
Albeit it's not this huge. I haven't taken a bullet for them or anything. But it's not my favorite thing to be doing right now in the world. But I'm just gonna like enter into this person's world for a moment and be present with them.
Totally.
And
yeah, there's plenty of times when it becomes clear, oh, my job here actually is just to be a mirror for them, and like they haven't spoken to anybody all week and they're just happy to have somebody who's going to listen to them tell the story about how this week went. And that in itself, once you realize like, oh, I can actually give them a great gift here by becoming very invested in this conversation, then that makes it more fun. That makes it more exciting.
That's happened on YouTube comments.
Oh yeah?
On some of these that have had more vitriolic responses.
Yeah.
Just me genuinely asking some questions and being like, oh, I didn't even know you'd respond. Well, now that you're here,
well, now I guess you're a real person. So
how's it going?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like maybe where to take it next is. So we kind of drifted into just how to be sociable and carry conversation, which is fine.
Social
but
skills.
In these ones where, let's say, we're talking about politics and how is Joe Biden doing as a president? Who should you vote for in 2024? I mean, it's coming. It's coming down the pike, and it's going to be just like 2020 was. The whole atmosphere will be so charged. Wouldn't it be nice to gear up for it so we're all just kind of morally ready to have conversations? Racial reconciliation and LGBTQ stuff, and there's so many things that are lightning rod issues that we're probably talking about with coworkers and family members. How do we have those conversations? We're all trying to figure out what is the truth, and we all do come to the table with either a whole package with this motive of I need you to think this, or even just some details you've heard here and there from different sources. Just how do you navigate yourself well in that space?
Sorry, I was just gonna say, one thing I try to do in those conversations, I play some of my cards pretty close to my chest in terms of adopting a label or making clear which side of the issue I fall down on. I tried not to reveal that. And I will try to ask questions that could be asked from either side of the aisle, and stay sort of ambiguous about that so that the lines of communication stay open for as long as possible and we can sort of genuinely explore the issues without you assuming you know everything I think or me assuming I know everything you think. I don't know if that's disingenuous. I don't think it is. I think it's just me trying to facilitate longer conversation, but I try to stay, a little unlabeled if I can.
Maybe it's something like being secure enough in your own beliefs, and that's not to say you have to lower your confidence level in it, but being willing to ask critical questions of something you happen to think is true for the sake of the conversation.
Yes. Good.
Let's just say I just had a case like this on a night this week having a theological conversation, and like I care about the Bible and reading it, and I find it valuable. But at one point, this person like rattled off some verse, I'm like, or said like, well, I don't know if that's right because it's not biblical. I'm like, oh, why should you care about what the Bible says? Now I have some reasons for thinking that.
Yeah.
But just that was an assumption that was a little guardrail.
Yeah.
We won't go somewhere because I've set up the it's not biblical guardrail.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why do you care about that?
Yeah.
Even though I
happen to
I have a little
care for that too.
slew of responses I could give to myself for that. It's allowing that person to question an assumption, to it expands their kind of intellectual thoroughness, to unpack that for themselves.
Yeah. You're highlighting, something that might have been tacitly assumed that they might not have realized. Oh, that's an assumption I'm building everything off of. But how did that get there? How is that received when you do that kind of thing?
It's met with
shock, right?
Particularly in these theological ones where they've come to the table assuming like because I'm work at a church that I have maybe some. They may even
the same guardrails or more
guardrails that they thought that I had.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, no, please, by all means.
Yep.
You have my permission to. We don't need to use those here.
Yeah.
Maybe part of it is like it's maybe we come to the table too often assuming that other people have gone through a similar journey of us and erecting their guardrails, and I don't know, and people haven't done that
right
legwork. So
yeah.
Now I'll say this. I think what I'm asking of people is hard to do if you haven't done it yourself. So the reason that
examination of guardrails, you mean?
Yes. It can be hard to spot other people's and be sitting with them in a way that I'll call it pastoral, but is giving them space and permission to remove those if you haven't been down that journey yourself.
Sure.
My journey was like through the study of philosophy. That whole discipline in some ways
examine your guardrails
is this Cartesian project of question everything and have a more skeptical attitude. And so any kind of precept that flitters across, I just have this default bone in me now to question it.
Does that fall under intellectual virtue? What would that be? Is it the curiosity piece maybe? Just the willingness to question one's own assumptions and that sort of.
Well, the general epistemological virtue of, all of the intellectual virtues can be summed up in a love for the truth. And philosophy is the love of wisdom, which is kind of like understanding above.
Yep.
It's kind of sitting on top of the truth. So I do think the discipline of philosophy
is that.
Encourages a baptism into the intellectual virtues. And that's why most universities up until the modern era have required all students
some fill courses.
That's what a liberal arts degree was doing, was you would
get you to think.
So I hope you find that helpful. Maybe like as you're I think we're heading into a midterm election year here. And the politics stuff never ceases. So there's always something people are writing on their social media or YouTube comments or even in your in-person conversations. So just next time you get into one, try to put on this mantle of, I'm coming to the table as someone trying to embody the intellectual virtues. I want to be really curious about what they're thinking. Try to have less of an agenda, because really, like, what's going to make more of a difference? Like, and what's the likelihood in a internet conversation that you're just going to have this silver bullet little piece of data or a zinger that's really going to change someone's mind? Very unlikely. And in fact, studies have shown that in the face of disconfirming evidence, people are more likely to double down on their original beliefs.
Wow.
Because you must have got that from a funky source, and the funky source was out to get us.
Yep.
And so, no, we were right in the first place. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So let's not even go there. let's do this more exploratory discovery journey, try to understand the person and how they erected the guardrails in there. And you don't have to call it that. Like, that's a little bit rude. Like, you have a guardrail and you're thinking.
Yeah.
But just kind of noticing it and bobbing and weaving, putting on that set of goggles as you navigate the conversation space, I think will just help you have less anxiety. You have less pressure on yourself as some like crusader for your little cause.
The one who has all the answers.
Just because you're not going to be able to change people's minds like that. What you can do is change their heart and their posture toward you. You can become a more long-term, reliable interlocutor. And this stuff can be done in relationship.
Well, this goes back to, Jordan talks about doesn't matter whether you win, it's how you play the game. Because the goal is be invited to future conversations, right? Keep the door of relationship open. And if you come in hot in the first conversation demanding that you win the debate and that they see your way, you're just not going to get as far. Versus like carry yourself with some humility, some curiosity, and play the long game that like you might be able to build a relationship with this person and learn from each other, genuinely learn from each other. That's the dream.
Yep.
So, yeah. That's good, man.
I love Jordan's bit on the study of the rats that play with each other. And the bigger rat, if a particular bigger rat would never let the little rat win in a little wrestling contest, then they stopped playing. The little rat would never want to do it.
Yeah.
But some of the big rats that were wiser would let the little rat win.
Just like 1/3 of the time.
Yeah, something like that. And so they kept playing way more often and both got the benefit of play.
Yeah.
And so there's something to that. It can sound arrogant in the intellectual space.
But you're the big rat.
Yeah.
But someone like you could intellectually bully somebody and just like
or we don't even have to say we either are or aren't big rats, but just behaving like a big rat.
Exactly.
Where you're always trying to win.
Posturing as the big guy.
If you go into all your conversations as I have to win and I'm not going to give an inch.
Oh, man.
Then no one's going to want to talk to you.
To treat every conversation as a battle. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it happen. And then you see people's even Facebook posts used to have 100 likes and a bunch of comments. And then the more combative they get, it trickles off because people just they sniff out that you're not a good faith interlocutor. You're so set in your view, you're not curious at all or open. You've created your own little gospel or doctrine of inviolable truths that no one can say a word about.
So you wake up, discover that you are the big rat no one wants to play with.
Cool.
No good.
Cool life you made.
Yeah. That's good, man.
Yep. Well, yeah, hope you enjoyed that. I think I already said that already, but
that's okay.
Again, I still hope it.
He still hopes.
And just so you know, a little housekeeping at the end. We are on Substack now. So that's how you can subscribe. It's all in one place. Our blog and podcast, openatruth.com. Nope, openatruth.substack.com is our new
URL.
One-stop shop. I mean, there still is openatruth.com, the personal website.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Openatruth.substack.com.
Yeah.
Sub to that for all your OTT needs.
So we named the blog Stay Curious.
Yeah, great.
It didn't have a name
It's
before.
the Stay Curious blog.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, thanks. You can check that out. You can always leave a comment on this video or you can write to us, mailbag@openatruth.com. And we'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you next time. Stay curious.